You were not born weak. You were not born confused. And you were not born to stand at the edge of your own potential while lesser minds move forward and take what could have been yours. The truth is harder, but it is also more empowering. You have been trained to be soft in a world that rewards sharpness. You have been taught to look for approval in a world that only respects power. And the moment you truly understand this is the moment you begin to separate yourself from the crowd. Niccolò Machiavelli understood something that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. He saw the world as it really is, not as people wish it to be. He looked directly at ambition, fear, betrayal, loyalty, and power, and he did not look away. While others hid behind comforting ideas about morality, he focused on results. If you want to become the sharpest, wisest, and most powerful version of yourself, you must be willing to do the same. The first change must happen inside you. Before you can influence a room, command respect, or shape your future, you must first control the chaos within yourself. Most people are ruled by impulses they barely understand. They react without thinking. They complain about their situation. They keep hoping things will change. But hope is not a strategy. Reaction is not control. And constant complaining is simply a confession of weakness. Machiavelli would say that fortune favors the bold. That is true. But fortune also favors the prepared. The man who sharpens his mind every day becomes dangerous in a quiet way. He does not need to announce his intelligence. It shows in his timing, in his silence, and in the careful way he chooses his words. Silence is one of the first weapons you must learn to use. Look at how most people behave. They talk too much. They reveal their plans too early. They show their insecurities in normal conversations. They search for validation by telling everyone about their ambitions before those ambitions are even real. And when problems appear, as they always do, their confidence breaks under the pressure of what they have already told others. Powerful people move differently. They observe more than they speak. They collect information constantly. Every interaction becomes a source of data. Who is controlled by ego? Who is loyal only when it benefits them? Who breaks under pressure? And who remains strong in chaos? When you train yourself to watch instead of trying to impress, you start to notice patterns that most people never see. This is how perception becomes sharper. But perception without discipline is useless. Many people can see the truth. Very few people have the discipline to act on it consistently. You must become ruthless with your own weaknesses before you ever try to deal with the weaknesses of others. That means facing your laziness, facing your desire for comfort, facing your fear of being disliked. Understand this clearly. If you want to rise, some people will misunderstand you. If you want to lead, you will be criticized. If you aim to become powerful, someone will call you selfish. Machiavelli never promised popularity. He promised effectiveness. And there is a deep difference between the two. The sharpest version of you does not chase applause. He chases competence. He builds his abilities quietly. He strengthens his body, disciplines his daily routine, and learns to control his emotions. He understands that power is never given freely. It is built slowly, one decision at a time, one improvement at a time, one uncomfortable action at a time. Comfort is the great sedative of human potential. Look around you. Entire lives disappear into distraction. Endless scrolling, endless entertainment, endless noise. All of it designed to keep you passive, to keep you obedient, to keep you consuming instead of creating. But Machiavelli's philosophy demands that you step outside this illusion. You must see comfort for what it truly is, a slow erosion of your edge. Your mind must become a blade, and a blade is not created in warmth. It is shaped under pressure, heated, hammered, struck, and refined again and again. The same is true for your character. Every setback is either shaping you into someone formidable or exposing that you prefer excuses instead of growth. The wisest individuals study human nature carefully. They understand that people are driven by self-interest far more often than by ideals. They recognize that loyalty usually follows strength, not virtue. This is not cynicism. It is clarity. And clarity gives you strategic advantage. When you stop expecting the world to be fair, you stop being shocked when it is unfair. Instead, you prepare yourself. You anticipate betrayal. You calculate risks. You build leverage. You do not drift through life hoping to be treated kindly. You design your position so that mistreatment becomes costly for others. Power respects structure. If you want influence, become reliable. If you want authority, become competent. If you want freedom, become valuable. These are not motivational slogans. They are strategic realities. The more valuable and indispensable you become, the less your future depends on the mercy of others. But this is where most people hesitate. They want power without tension. They want authority without responsibility. They want influence without being questioned. It does not work that way. To become formidable, you must accept that pressure is part of the process. In fact, pressure is proof that you are stepping into bigger arenas. Weak men run away from pressure. Strong men grow stronger because of it. Machiavelli wrote about princes and rulers, but his insights apply to anyone living in a world of competition, ambition, and survival. He once said that it is safer to be feared than loved if a person cannot be both. Modern ears often reject this idea because it sounds harsh, but look deeper. He was not encouraging cruelty. He was speaking about stability. Love can disappear when it is based only on convenience, but fear, or more accurately, respect supported by consequences, creates stability when it is built on strength. In your own life, this simply means setting strong boundaries. If you tolerate disrespect, you teach people how to treat you. And if you constantly give in just to avoid conflict, you slowly erase yourself. The powerful version of you understands that kindness without boundaries invites exploitation. If you are kind but unable to say no, people will slowly take advantage of your time, your energy, and your focus. You must become comfortable saying no. And if you are ready to stop constantly yielding and start protecting your focus today, comment the word no below. Put your intention on record. No to distractions that weaken your focus. No to people who drain your ambition. No to habits that slowly destroy your discipline. Every no sharpens your identity, and every yes must be intentional, strategic, and aligned with your long-term vision. Vision is another quality that separates ordinary people from exceptional ones. Most people live day to day. They think about tomorrow, maybe next week, but the powerful think in years. They are willing to endure short-term discomfort because they can see the long-term advantage. They sacrifice temporary pleasure for future strength and leverage. Ask yourself honestly, are your current actions aligned with the person you want to become? Or are they aligned with the version of you that society has conditioned you to remain? This question is not comfortable, but comfort is not your objective. Mastery is. To become your wisest self, you must also study history. Not for nostalgia, but for patterns. Human behavior has not changed as much as people pretend it has. Ambition, envy, loyalty, greed, courage. These forces moved people centuries ago, and they still move people today. Once you understand this, you stop taking every obstacle personally. You begin to analyze instead. When someone tries to undermine you, do not react emotionally. Study their motive. When someone flatters you too much, question their intention. When an opportunity appears too easy, examine the hidden cost behind it. Wisdom grows when emotion is filtered through strategy. But do not confuse emotional control with emotional suppression. The sharpest individuals still feel deeply, but they choose their responses carefully. Anger becomes fuel, not chaos. Fear becomes information, not paralysis. Desire becomes direction, not distraction. Control over yourself is the foundation of control over your circumstances. There will be moments when you feel tempted to shrink yourself, moments when you feel tempted to reduce your ambition just to make other people comfortable. Resist that temptation. The world does not reward those who are endlessly accommodating. It rewards those who create undeniable value. Become undeniable. Develop skills that are difficult to copy. Communicate with clarity and precision. Dress with intention. Carry yourself with calm confidence. These details may seem small, but they grow stronger over time. Presence is not accidental. It is built deliberately. The most powerful people in any room are usually the calmest. They are not fighting for attention. They are not chasing validation. They speak when necessary, and when they do speak, their words carry weight because they are chosen carefully. You must build that same weight, and it begins with internal alignment. Do not say what you cannot defend. Do not promise what you cannot deliver. Every broken promise slowly weakens your authority. Every fulfilled commitment strengthens it. Over time, something interesting happens. People begin to sense your stability. They may not always explain it clearly, but they feel it. They trust your judgment more. They hesitate before disrespecting you. They start asking for your opinion. Influence grows quietly before it becomes visible. This is the path of strategic power. Not loud domination, not reckless aggression, but controlled strength, careful action, relentless self-improvement, a mind sharpened by observation, a character strengthened by discipline, and most importantly, a refusal to live passively. You are either shaping your circumstances or your circumstances are shaping you. There is no neutral position. Every day, you either move closer to control over your life or deeper into dependence on forces you do not control. Machiavelli would not ask you to become cruel. He would ask you to become effective. He would not ask you to abandon morality. He would ask you to understand reality. And once you begin to see reality clearly, you gain the ability to move within it strategically instead of emotionally. This is where real power begins. Not in controlling other people, but in mastering yourself. Not in empty displays of confidence, but in real capability that you have earned. Not in wishing that life becomes easier, but in becoming stronger inside difficult conditions. The sharpest version of you is not a fantasy. He is a decision repeated every day. A commitment to clarity instead of comfort, strategy instead of impulse, discipline instead of distraction. And once you truly commit to this path, once you begin shaping yourself with intention, the world will start responding to you differently. Not because the world suddenly became fair, but because you became formidable. Formidable is not a title you announce. It is a presence you build slowly until people feel it before you even speak. Whenever you walk into a room, an invisible evaluation is taking place. People are observing you, not always consciously, not always with bad intentions, but instinctively. They ask silent questions. Are you steady or uncertain? Are you reactive or calm? Are you someone to challenge or someone to respect? The sharpest, wisest, and most powerful version of you understands that perception is not something superficial. It is strategic territory. Machiavelli understood appearances better than most thinkers. He knew that while reality decides results, perception often decides opportunity. A prince who appears weak invites challengers. A leader who appears indecisive invites rebellion. And in your own life, the same rule applies. If you constantly show confusion, people will doubt your direction. But if you project calm certainty, even while facing uncertainty, you create a psychological advantage. This does not mean pretending to be something you are not. It means strengthening yourself until your presence reflects real preparation. Confidence without competence is fragile. Competence without confidence is invisible. You must build both. Start with your decision-making. Indecision quietly destroys authority. When you hesitate too much, you communicate fear of responsibility, and responsibility is the price of power. Powerful individuals understand that every decision contains risk, but they also understand that avoiding decisions creates an even bigger risk. A flawed decision made with courage can be corrected. A decision avoided completely creates stagnation. Train yourself to evaluate situations, decide, and move forward. Gather information quickly. Consider the possible consequences, then commit to your choice. And if adjustment becomes necessary, adjust without ego. Pride is another weakness that must be refined. There is a difference between strong determination and blind stubbornness. A wise person can change direction without feeling weak. Flexibility becomes strength when it is guided by clear purpose. Machiavelli wrote often about fortune. He described how unpredictable it can be and how it favors those who are prepared to seize it. Think of fortune not simply as luck, but as opportunity meeting readiness. Most people blame fate when they fail, but they rarely ask whether they were truly prepared when opportunity appeared. Ask yourself honestly, if the door you want open tomorrow, would you be ready to walk through it? Would your skills support your ambition? Would your discipline sustain your new responsibilities? Would your mindset handle the pressure that comes with success? If the answer is no, then your mission is clear. Preparation is power stored in advance. There is also the question of alliances. No one rises completely alone. Even the most powerful leaders build networks and alliances, but these alliances must be chosen carefully. Not everyone deserves close access to your ambition. Watch how people react to your growth. Do they encourage it, or do they quietly try to slow you down? Do they celebrate your progress, or do they compete with it in subtle ways? Machiavelli warned that people who benefit from your weakness will resist your strength. The moment you begin to evolve, you disturb the balance that once made them comfortable. And this is exactly why boundaries become essential as you rise.
You cannot carry everyone with you. And if you try to do that, you will slow your own progress. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Some people belong to earlier chapters of your life. Keeping them in your inner circle while you are growing beyond shared values creates tension that quietly holds you back. Choose allies who push you to sharpen your edge, not those who dull it. At the same time, understand that loyalty does not appear automatically. It must be cultivated. If you expect loyalty, you must recognize and reward it. Machiavelli spoke often about managing both fear and favor. In modern terms, this means combining strength with fairness. Be firm with your standards, but consistent with your principles. Inconsistency creates distrust. If your reactions depend on your mood instead of your standards, people will walk carefully around you, not because they respect you, but because they are uncertain. True authority is predictable in its principles, even if it remains flexible in its tactics. Now think about your relationship with fear. Fear is one of the strongest forces shaping human behavior. Most people make decisions mainly to avoid discomfort. They avoid confrontation. They avoid risk. They avoid visibility. And by avoiding these things, they also avoid growth. The powerful individual studies fear. When you feel fear, ask yourself an important question. Is this fear protecting me from real danger, or is it only protecting my ego from discomfort? These two things are very different. Real danger requires caution. Ego discomfort requires courage. If you avoid every situation where you might appear inexperienced, you will remain inexperienced. If you avoid every situation where failure is possible, you guarantee mediocrity. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear. Machiavelli respected boldness because boldness changes momentum. When you act decisively, you disrupt the calculations of those who hesitate. In competition, speed often defeats perfection. But this does not mean being reckless. Recklessness is action without thinking. Boldness is action after analysis, without unnecessary delay. You must also learn to manage your reputation intentionally. Reputation is the collection of how people perceive you over time, and it is one of your greatest assets. A strong reputation opens doors before you even knock. A weak reputation forces you to constantly explain yourself. Protect your reputation carefully. Do not involve yourself in petty conflicts that reduce your image. Do not impulsively align with causes or people that contradict your values. Every association shapes perception. Every public reaction adds another line to your story. But remember something important. You cannot control every opinion. Trying to please everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. Instead, focus on earning respect from the people whose judgment truly matters in your field. Let critics speak. Results. Silence critics far more effectively than arguments. Now let us talk about ambition. Many people feel ashamed of their ambition. They hide it behind phrases like, "I'm just trying," or "we'll see what happens." But suppressed ambition eventually becomes frustration. You must accept your desire to rise, to build, to influence, and to lead. Ambition itself is not evil. Undisciplined ambition can be dangerous, but disciplined ambition can transform your entire life. Define what power means to you. Is it financial independence, intellectual mastery, physical strength, social influence, leadership in your field? Without clarity, your efforts scatter in different directions. With clarity, your actions become aligned. Create a clear picture in your mind. If necessary, visualize it vividly. Then begin to reverse engineer the path that leads there. Powerful people think strategically about time. They understand the power of compounding. Small improvements repeated consistently create massive results over time. 1 hour of focused learning each day can become deep expertise after several years. One disciplined financial habit can slowly grow into wealth. One meaningful connection can grow into a powerful network. Stop searching for dramatic overnight transformation. Instead, seek relentless daily improvement. But there will also be moments that require bold and immediate action. A toxic environment that must be left, a partnership that must be ended, an opportunity that demands immediate commitment. In those moments, hesitation becomes more dangerous than boldness. Trust the version of yourself that has prepared. The sharpest, wisest, and most powerful version of you is not reckless, but he is not timid either. He understands when to wait, and he understands when to strike. Timing is everything. Machiavelli emphasized the importance of understanding the rhythm of events. Acting too early can isolate you. Acting too late can make you irrelevant. Develop sensitivity to timing by observing patterns. In business, in relationships, and in culture, there are always cycles. When momentum is rising, move with it. When decline becomes clear, detach strategically. Detachment is another discipline you must learn. Do not attach your identity so strongly to any role or outcome that you collapse if it changes. Adaptability is what ensures survival. The world is constantly evolving. Skills become outdated. Markets change. Power structures shift. The individuals who survive and succeed are those who evolve faster than their environment. And this requires humility. The humility to admit when you do not know something. The humility to learn from people who may be younger, smarter, or more skilled than you. The humility to update your worldview when new information appears. Arrogance creates blindness. Wisdom adapts. But at the same time, never allow humility to turn into self-doubt. There is a balance. You can recognize your weaknesses without questioning your ability to improve them. You can admire someone else's skill without reducing your own potential. The path to power begins in the mind before it appears in the world. If deep inside you believe that you are unworthy of influence, you will quietly sabotage opportunities. If you believe success belongs only to others, you will hesitate at the most important moments. Rewrite that internal story. Not with empty positive words, but with evidence. Create proof through action. Each disciplined day becomes evidence. Each risk you take becomes evidence. Each skill you master becomes evidence. Over time, self-belief stops being fragile hope and becomes solid certainty. And certainty is powerful. People follow certainty. People invest in certainty. People trust certainty. When you speak from a place of real conviction that you have earned through experience and discipline, you can shift the energy of a room without using force. But remember this final principle as you continue sharpening yourself. Power without direction eventually becomes corruption. The real goal is not domination for its own sake. The real goal is autonomy. It is the ability to shape your life deliberately instead of reacting to everything that happens around you. The world is full of people who simply drift through life. They react to events. They consume endlessly. They complain about their circumstances. But you are choosing something different. You are choosing awareness. You are choosing strategy. You are choosing discipline and growth. This path is not easy. At times it demands isolation. At times it demands sacrifice. And many times it demands confrontation, not only with other people, but also with yourself. But on the other side of that confrontation lies a new version of you. A version that no longer waits for permission. A version that understands human nature without becoming controlled by it. A version that can move through conflict without losing composure. A version that commands respect not through loud words or aggression, but through undeniable presence. And as that version grows stronger, as your mind becomes sharper and your actions become more aligned with intention, you will begin to notice something subtle but powerful. Fewer people will try to test you. Fewer obstacles will intimidate you, and fewer situations will feel overwhelming. Because you are no longer moving through the world as a passive participant. You are moving through it as a deliberate and calculated force.